Welcome back to Femgineer's Confident Communicator Course Introductory Video Series. I'm Purnima Vijay Shankar, the founder and Femgineer, and one of the instructors for the course. In this video, you're going to meet Katie Kayla, who is a software engineer. Katie participated in Femgineer's Confident Communicator course in 2018. Now, Katie knows that soft skills are important, having taken a number of courses on presenting and having mentored and coached others. But despite having some experience under her belt, she decided to take the course for the following reasons. The first reason was that she wanted to improve how she communicated with customers and people who are non-technical. The second reason was that she wanted to come up with talk topics that were relevant to her audience. And the third and final reason was that she wanted to be able to practice all those skills and receive feedback. Now, in today's brief video, you're going to learn directly from Katie how she improved her communication skills with customers and non-technical folks in the audience, why coming up with topics has been a cinch since taking the course, and how Katie started applying a lot of these to her talks that she was giving even before completing the course. So thanks for joining us today, Katie.
Thank you for having me. It's so great to be back.
Yeah. So you are an engineer who has taught herself a number of valuable technical skills over the years, like mobile development. Why not just add another technical skill to your tool chest? Why public speaking?
Well, it's a few different things. One of the key features we always look for here at T-Sheets is collaboration and people interested in discussing ideas. Well, a lot of that is public speaking, but people don't realize it. And if you can't articulate your ideas effectively, all you're kind of doing is talking to the wind. And I know I can be a little wordy, so I was looking for ways that could kind of help with that. And then we also talk a lot to our customer experience team, and we talk to designers and researchers, and they may not speak a technical language or come from a technical background. So it was a way for me to continue to practice giving that relevant information to them in a way that they could digest it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you had mentioned that you had taken a course prior to Confident Communicator course on presentation skills. So why another one?
Well, my mom has always said that how can you keep having a muscle if you don't practice that muscle? And I went probably 5 years without doing any kind of public speaking. I hadn't gotten out to get into the industry or anything like that. So this was a way for me to remember these skills that I had and to remind myself that I am confident in them and that I can complete the task and get it done.
Yeah. And what did you think was particularly different about ours?
I really loved that it was geared toward technical people and how to present to non-technical. And that I thought it was interesting. I went through school and we had a communications course and we had like a how to do a project course, but there was no course on how to take what you've learned and make a presentation and then distill that information down for people. So it was a completely new space that I was interested in getting into.
Mm-hmm. And since you mentioned this, so one area that you knew that you needed help on was breaking down some of those technical concepts for customers or for a non-technical audience. Why do you think this was important, and what was your initial approach to doing it?
Yeah, so it's really important mostly because we're very flat here at Intuit and T-Sheets. And because of that, most of the people I work with have no experience in tech, and they don't understand why something might float or why it might take longer. And I really needed a way to help them with that. And what I had done before is like a little bit like what we've talked about in class, where it was a technique I learned from my dad, where first I would always ask them like what they like to do or what they know so that I could take what they know and apply it towards a technical topic. And I think I've just gotten better being able to break it down.
Got it. And were there things in particular that you thought this course could help you out with that you hadn't experienced before, aside from the technical concepts?
Yeah, I really loved that it emphasized like stories to tell and how could you relate back to a story that you had, so that when people thought about it later, they thought more about the story and not necessarily the whole technical aspect of it. And I've really tried to keep that mentality going forward.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think the course helped you improve your approach?
I really love how the course encouraged us to look at our work and our specific work. And you use this inventory method that I'd never thought of before to break down into categories what I was doing. So, I might have been doing some feature, but what was it about that feature that I could categorize as something I could, teach? And my thing that I had done recently was testing, and not many people like talking about testing, but it was such a big lesson that we learned. And by being able to look at that and distill it down, I gained a lot of confidence. And I gained a lot of confidence that people want to learn from me, and that I do have things that I've learned over the years that, maybe new engineers need to learn, and maybe not, and older engineers need to be refreshed on. So that was really awesome.
Yeah. And I think hopefully taking that storytelling also helped you use a boring concept maybe for people out there like testing and spice it up and make it more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you also mentioned that coming up with talk topics that were relevant to your audience was a challenge prior to the course. So how were you approaching coming up with talk topics before you took the course?
Well, it's so interesting. I have always been interested in mentoring and getting closer, and particularly helping women in the technical field. And I didn't have an approach. I was so lost on how to even approach thinking about a topic. And the only thing I could ever come up with was, okay, well, I learned how to do mobile development on my own. Can I turn that into a talk? And it always ended up being more of like a step-by-step guide through how to do it, instead of something I felt like I could engage on, and something that I felt like when people walked away, they would, learn a few small tidbits that they would remember me by. And then if they had questions later, they would come back and I could really start a big network of people.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think that the course helped you kind of overcome that issue?
Well, part of it was learning this inventory method. And then part of it was a lot of just confidence in the idea that, people do want to hear from me. And even though I might be younger, I still have lessons that I've learned over time that, sometimes you have to be reminded of. I recently injured my foot, and I was reminded that when you injure yourself, you really need to take the time to let it rest. And I didn't do that. And so I got that lesson learned again. And, my mom has always said, sometimes it's not the first time you hear it that you get the lesson. Sometimes it's the fourth or fifth time. Sometimes it takes 20 times. And so if you always have people that are out there, even if you've heard that lesson before, it doesn't mean that others won't benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. I think one of the big issues is that you don't have to say something that's earth-shattering or groundbreaking. Just your voice, your tone, your experience can really resonate with an audience. And so it's worthwhile for you to share your expertise.
And like experienced presenters, they always give that off, that they're so worldly and that they know. And it's like, well, you become experienced by starting somewhere small. And sometimes that's a small lesson that you had, or it's a small process that you started. And it was a really good confidence booster to remember that.
Yeah, definitely. So I know finally you wanted more opportunities to practice, and that is something that we emphasize a lot and facilitate in the course. So tell me how you changed how you practice and how it helped you in the long run.
Well, I definitely ask for more help now. I'm really lucky. My husband is a competitive debater, and he got up to like a national rank. So I have a lot of help there. And my mom is a district leader for Toastmasters. So I have a lot of help there. But I've always been too afraid to ask them for help and advice. So now, I every time I practice, like I always make sure that there's someone watching me, and I'm not just by myself or just talking to my cats or anything like that. And I've been really making sure that I push through the rough spots of a speech so that I'm always doing the full speech and not just the introduction. So I feel comfortable at each point, and I feel comfortable when I trip up. And I've been using it ever since, the pin technique, where I'll stick it in my mouth so that I enunciate slower, because I get really enthusiastic and I start jamming really fast. And it's something that has allowed me to change how I practice and how I've helped my own techniques out.
Nice. So I know that even before you finished the course, you gave a technical presentation, which was awesome. So how did you go about doing it, and how did it go?
Well, so we use Slack to communicate, and someone posted out that our Boise Code Camp was coming up. And I was like, oh my God, this is a perfect opportunity to make myself use these skills. Because otherwise I had this fear I was going to go through this course and be all jazzed up, and then kind of flatline and have nothing to do with it. So I took what we'd been learning and I took my topic that I'd come up with and I was like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And it's going to be super. And it was really, really nerve wracking. And I was really scared. And I remember like getting up there and just having the shakes. And the next day I was so tired because of the big letdown of doing the big talk. But I was completely and utterly surprised by how engaged people were with what I was talking about. Because I mean, really, testing, no one likes testing. And everyone says they don't like testing. So it's like, but the fact that people enjoyed the lesson that I gave, and from that, I was able to learn some new techniques from people that were there. And I got the opportunity to speak at one of our Boise CodeWorks, which is like an intensive learning and help all these new engineers, which is what I've always wanted to do. So it was really awesome. And I'm really glad that I did it.
Yeah, that feedback loop of, the nerves, but then doing it, having the audience be engaged, helped you felt good, built up your confidence again. That's a good feedback loop to have. So I'm glad that you experienced it even before finishing the course. Now, do you think you would have been able to accomplish all of this and get the same results on your own?
Maybe. I mean, if I had the desire, I probably could have gone out and found a book and learned and everything. But really what this course offers you is a really safe place to where you can try new things and you can iterate on it. And at every moment you're getting feedback and it gives you a lot of confidence to just try. And I think that's the harder part is, trying to get people to just give it a chance and realize that it's only scary for the first 15 to 20 seconds, and then you kind of get into a groove, and usually someone is engaged with you and they're looking at you and having fun, and it's not like you're talking to, a black box. So
yeah, that's good. I'm glad you got to experience that. And what are you planning to do with this new set of skills that you have? Do you intend to go out and give more talks, or what are your grand plans?
My grand plan. I don't know if I have super, super grand plans, but I really loved how, oh my gosh, was it Caitlin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure I said her name wrong.
Karen.
I was like, we have so many K's here at T-Sheets. I'm just like, But I really loved what Karen, how her goal was of one speech a month. Mm-hmm. And when I thought about that, I was like, man, that's like really ambitious. Eventually, I would love to be able to do one speech a month, whether it's a speech here at T-Sheets that's for developers on something that I'd learned, or whether it's going out into the community and doing like a what's my day in the life kind of thing. This year, though, I am aiming for once a quarter. So no matter what, once a quarter, I will be getting out and speaking. And next year, I'm hoping I'll have a little bit more time to plan out so I can do it even more. But on top of that, I started a local Toastmasters club here. So because I saw the need and the fact that professionally, we don't have as many opportunities for public speaking, and I keep watching people struggle with it and tell me how nervous they are. I was like, well, if you're really nervous, come to Toastmasters, because that's where you get to practice. And it's been really, really successful so far. People have been really passionate about it, and I've been enjoying the challenge of having to keep track of all that and really get everyone started with their confidence. So it's been great.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. No, it's great to see that you're making an impact for your own career as well as for your community. And I think that goal that you've set of once a quarter is a great one to strive for. So I know you're going to definitely hit that with your enthusiasm and your dedication.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I know that there's people in our audience who are watching this and they're on the fence, thinking, well, Katie got over the nerves and had a successful talk, and sure, it was about testing, but I don't know if I could do the same. So why would you recommend that they consider taking the course?
I always tell people you have to start somewhere. And, every person's starting point is different. I came into this with already some knowledge. I had already worked with my mom on certain techniques, like I knew about vocal variety and how to do stage presence, and I'd done that, but I had never done a technical talk before, and this gave me a place to start. And I could have fallen flat on my face, but because it was an iterative process and because it really builds your confidence as you go, by just taking that initial step, no matter what, I kind of knew at the end of the day I was going to succeed. And I think that that's the best part about this course is that even if you aren't really sure, at the end of the day, as long as you're spending the hour or 2 hours a week on it, you're going to succeed. And I think that that is so powerful.
Well, thank you so much, Katie, for taking the time to chat with us.
Yeah, it was great. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this video. And as you've heard from Katie, if you're on the fence about taking the course, you've got to start somewhere. And the Confident Communicator course gives you that safe haven, that place to try a number of methods to gain some level of comfort, as well as practice and achieve a level of confidence that you can be proud of while engaging audiences. So consider participating in Femgineer's Confident Communicator course to improve your public speaking skills. Ciao for now.